All right, everybody. Wow. Our broadcast was scheduled for 9 o'clock. I hope everybody get this message so that they can tune in. I'm gonna go to my Facebook right quick to let everybody know. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. We had some technical difficulties with our system, but we're not going to allow that to stop us from what we want to talk about tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. And whoever joins, I really hope you are able to get the information that's inside of this broadcast. So I want to welcome everybody to our self love conversation series. And even though we had a lot of technical difficulties, we are still going to make sure that we make this work. Okay. Because the story that I have for you guys tonight, I really want you to pay attention to, because this young lady is very dynamic. She has a book that's called Dried Up Leaves. Is that correct? And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want everyone to know who she is and know her name. And when she tells her powerful story, I want everyone to just one show her some love and show us some love. I know we had our difficulties, but give us some love, show us some love, because this story is dynamic. And this is Shala. Say your name for me so I say it right.
It's Shalara Wells.
Shalara Wells, everyone. And
Yes.
Shalara Wells is going to tell her amazing story of how she is definitely an overcomer. I have plenty of questions for you. I've been preparing for this interview all day, and I want you to know that already I am so proud of you.
Wow.
We're not going to let anything stop us. We're going to make sure that we do the best that we can in this interview, and I just want you to know that the world needs you for everything that you have going on for you right now. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to let you take it from here and jump into it. Now, one of the things that we do at the I'm Loving Me Project is we ask a question of what do you see when you look in the mirror, and when was the day that you started loving yourself. So the first thing I want you to answer is, what do you see when you look in the mirror?
Um, when I look in the mirror, I see the struggle wrapped in strength.
Mm,
That's what I see for me, and I also see victory because like nothing that's ever happened to me overrided the victory that I have in Jesus.
mm,
So when I look in the mirror, I feel victorious. I
yes.
feel beautiful. I feel bold. I feel strong. And it took me a while to even look at myself like that. But I'm just so happy that God saw fit um, to let all these bad things be my testimony.
I would say challenges,
Yes,
and I want you to get into the story of some of the things that you went through, but I call it challenges because if you didn't go through what you went through, you would not be here. You
that's true.
understand? It was that struggle and that challenge that you went through that allowed you to do so many good things that you are doing now.
Right.
And I just want you to get into the story so people can actually hear. Like, walk us through, how did you get to this point?
Wow. So here's my book if you wanted to see it.
Hmm.
Um, and my book is really good. It's
Did we lose you? Yep, we did. We lost her, but we're going to get her back on, guys. Give me 1 second. There she go. All right, there you go. Go ahead. Start all over. Your book
Something,
is good.
yes, something literally cut my phone off and cut it right back on,
That's
and
okay. We're
it's
gonna make it
fully charged.
we're gonna make it work. Show your face so we can have the
Oh,
interview.
sorry.
There you go. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it just literally powered off and powered back on, and it's on full. That's ain't nothing but the devil.
That's okay. We're gonna make it work.
Yes. So at my mom had me when she was 14 years old. Um. So that was pretty rough in itself because she wasn't really ready for to take on that role. So I know that had to be hard for her. And at the age of 17, she married, and I was 3 years old when she married, and I was excited because we lived in the projects, and he took us out the projects. We had a big pretty house, and
Uh-huh.
we had this big old tree in the backyard. We had dogs and um ducks, and it was like a little farm,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And I was happy because I didn't really have a relationship with my biological father. But from the age of 3 all the way until the age of 10, he molested me.
Mm.
And of course, when I told my mom, when you're in love with somebody, you don't want to believe that they could be a monster.
Right.
So of course she didn't believe me, and so he just kept. I told her when I was 6 years old,
So
and
when you yeah, when you told her, what did she say?
she said I was lying. She told me I was
Mm.
lying, and that I just wanted her to be with my dad. I don't even have a relationship with my dad, so that was never a reason for me to say that he touched on me. But
Right.
he continued doing it all the way till I was 10 years old.
Hmm.
And then when I made 11, I graduated high school when I was 17. So I always was the youngest one in the group
Mm-hmm.
at school. So I was 11 years old going to middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And that summer going into middle school, I just had longed for my mom because at this time she now was on drugs. She had left her husband. She was strung out on drugs, and I just wanted to be with her. I always loved my mom, had a strong love for her.
Was you the
And
only child?
no, I had a little sister by this time with the
Okay.
husband. She had a
Mm-hmm.
baby for her husband.
Okay.
And so it was just us two. And then so one night I wanted to see her. It was like I was lonely and depressed. And I snuck out my grandmother's house to go see her. And when I did that, I went on the street where I know she's always at. There's a lot of drug dealers in the area, but I still went. I wanted to see her. And so one of the guys told me he pointed to a house that she was in. And then I went in the house to see her, and she wasn't even there. And at
Mm.
that time, I got gang raped by the guys that were hanging on that street at 11 years old. And what I find heartbreaking about the black community was I was only 11 years old, and so many people treated me as if I wanted it
Wait a
or
second.
as if it
So
was
the
my
people in
fault.
the community knew what
Yeah,
happened?
everybody knew about it. It was how word spreads around town. Everybody knew about it, and I got teased and bullied about it. Um, People made fun of me. The guys' girlfriends wanted to fight me because we actually went to the police station to file a report against them. So I'm guessing the
Of
cops
course.
going to go um, question him, and so a lot of people knew. I had literally had to spend the summer in Texas with my godmother just to get away from all the calamity that was going on. It was a lot.
Now, how are you feeling as this is going on? Because see, obviously it was very traumatic for you, right?
Right,
It was very traumatic for you. Your mom didn't believe you. You had this traumatic experience, and now you got to go to another state because basically nobody protected you and nobody stood
no,
up for you. What was going through your mind at the time? Because at the time you were still a kid, right? You 10 years old. At 10 years old, at 10 years old, You're thinking about school, you're thinking about having the nice clothes, you still doing teeny bop stuff, you are
Right,
doing all these things, and that's if you are considered to be a normal child in a normal stable environment, right?
right,
You are fighting for your life because these traumatic things are happening to you. In your
right.
10-year-old mind, you are feeling what?
I was feeling I, the first word that always stuck with me was that I was dirty.
Mm,
I felt dirty. I felt abandoned. I felt misused. I really felt like I didn't even deserve to live. I just didn't understand why me.
mhm.
What I blame myself because I was like, it gotta be my fault. What am I doing? Is it a look I have? What would make somebody think that they could just take from me?
And that's what I wanted to get out of you, because a lot of women feel like that. A lot of women
Right,
feel like that. Like if something traumatic happens, and it is something to deal with your body, your beauty, whatever it is, immediately we start to blame ourselves for that, right?
right.
Where it's not our fault. And again, you're a kid. Your mind is not even in a position to know all of these adult things yet. You haven't even experienced life yet. So to
No,
take on that and to become basically, you haven't even had the woman experience, and the way
no.
you had it was so traumatic. Now you're in this state of mind where you have to be guarded, self-esteem,
Hmm.
thinking about all these different things. And when you told me the story, I was just so angry because everyone around you still didn't do anything,
No.
and we'll get to that later. We'll get to what that psychology is about later, but go ahead, continue your story. I thank you for being so transparent too, and I thank you just for your strength. I really do.
Um, I would get bullied, and so then I became a bully, and
Mm,
I started hurting people's feelings because I thought that's what you were supposed to do to be cool.
right.
And I also started being promiscuous because I didn't care about my body anymore. I
Hmm.
didn't care. A guy, if a guy would try to talk to me or tell me I was pretty, I was like, well, let's have sex because I felt like that's all a man wanted. So why even waste time with talking to you on the phone when we can just have sex? And
Mm,
so that's the state of mind that the abuse put me in, that I was worthless, and
hmm.
that this was between my legs, was all I was could be used for. That
Mm,
was the only useful thing. And I felt like if I could control it, if I could control when I want to do it, how I want to do it, I felt like I was in a good place. But that was just a lie that
of
the enemy
course.
planted in my head to make me think that it's okay to give it as long as you giving consent.
Mm,
And so I just went down a real dark path. I did. I would do anything to make people laugh. Just just going down the wrong path, really,
hmm.
because of the abuse and just being in a dark place. And it doesn't feel good when you're screaming from the inside and nobody can hear you.
Right.
When you're crying on the inside and nobody could hear you. In middle school, I remember, because see, what happened was my stepdad, he would bathe me every time after he would molest me. I
Mm,
guess to get rid of the evidence. So I had this thing where I did not want to take baths because it reminded me of what he would do.
mm,
And so I remember one day I was in middle school and I was walking through the halls, and these girls, like the feminine it's Dush.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. They took one, I guess got it from their mama because we weren't using that in middle school.
Right, 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 right.
And they literally squirted it on my shirt and was
No.
that, yes, they were bullying me that bad. And the principal had the audacity to say she didn't let them get in trouble. No, she said, why you think they did that? You think you need, to take a bath or something?
Mm.
Nobody knew. Nobody stopped and asked me what was
Wrong.
wrong. Nobody hugged me. Nobody said, hey, you need somebody to talk to. Nobody was doing that for me. I was just, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It just was so much. It was so much.
Mm-hmm.
And this book literally let me see that a lot of stuff I was not healed from,
Mm-hmm.
that I had to write it down and let it out because it was really living with me. And sometimes you don't realize that because you think you're healed and you're not really healed. You think because you don't do certain things no more that you're healed. That's not true.
Tell me, after all of that, because you have children, right?
Right,
So, which means you had relationships and all this stuff. But
right,
I want to know, as you got older, we went through middle school,
right.
high school, everything before you wrote the book, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You said you became a bully. So you were bullying people too,
I
because
was.
that was the way, right?
Yes.
That was the way you let your anger out,
Right,
right? That was the way you dealt with whatever it is that you dealt with.
right.
Um, but tell me that day, or what was it that clicked to you, or what was the thing that said, you know what, I can't do this no more. Like, I'm hurting myself. I'm hurting other people. Like, and I know that this is not life. Like, what was that day? Can you take me back to that?
Yes. I actually had gotten pregnant when I was 18 years old, and while I was pregnant, because my grandmother raised me, of course. My mom was 14 when she had me, so, and then of course when she was on drugs, my grandmother took us in, and
Is your
she
mom
passed
still here?
away.
Your mom passed away.
No, that was my point because she
Hmm.
had so much. She invested so much in me. She taught me so much. She loved on me. She gave me principles and wanted me to have wisdom and knowledge and understanding. She wanted all of those things for me. She saw so much in me that I didn't see in myself. And when she died, um, it was kind of like her death made me live.
Yeah, because when you have that traumatic experience, you can't hear it. You can't hear what other people are saying to you, because the only thing that you're playing is, it didn't happen to you. You don't know how I feel. You
Right,
can't tell me how I feel. You don't understand what it was like. And even though you try to love and you try to be there, it still stays there. But it took her leaving you for you to wake up and see, and the fact that you said that you got pregnant. And I believe, because now, do you think it's because now you had a second chance with another life, like a person?
I did, and then unfortunately I had a miscarriage,
Mm.
and
Mm.
that hurt is a whole different kind of hurt when you're 7 months pregnant and your baby heart just stops beating inside of you. And so literally God had to come down himself and talk to me because it was so much that I was going through, so much that I was carrying. Didn't even realize I was carrying it because I thought I was okay.
Right.
And I literally had to fall on my knees and say, God, you take everything from me that's not
Hmm.
like you.
Right.
release me from these chains. I want to be normal. I just didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel normal. I said
Mm.
I want to be in peace. I want to have joy. I don't want to have to make myself laugh. I just want to have I want to be able to laugh because I'm happy.
Yes.
And so I literally cried out to God. And I talk about that in my book. I talk about the woman with the issue of blood. And I'm
Mm.
pretty sure we're all familiar with that story. But I kind of did an in-depth study on her because it reminds me of me.
Mm.
And she dealt with that issue for so long, and she tried everything else to fix it. She tried doctors, she tried all of this stuff to fix her issue. And it wasn't going away at all. And so I said, well, God, why did you isolate her? Because
Mm.
she couldn't come out and worship with the other people. They couldn't even be around her. And
Right.
God had to minister to my spirit because I know it was a lot of people that would tell their children that they couldn't hang with me. And
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I at the moment I was mad at them, but then God had to show me because when you're bleeding, you'll bleed out on others.
Come on, girl.
You know, your cause was going on with you to affect them. So yes, I had to isolate her. And then he had to remind me that we are the salt of the earth. And you
Mm-hmm.
can't be the salt of the earth if you're bleeding.
That's right.
Because salt stops the bleeding.
Mm.
You know, the elders in the Bible used to put salt on the meat to stop it from bleeding.
Right.
And so he was telling me I need to get my salt back.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get my, and the only way you get your salt back is if you press through. Sometimes we make excuses, and we like to blame our abusers and we blame everybody else. But it's up to us to push through the crowd. We have to push through our own emotions and our feelings and all these things that we feel like is holding us back. Because my freedom, I felt like my freedom was more important than holding a grudge against these people.
Yep.
And so, like the woman with the issue of blood, she pressed through the crowd and touched the hem of Jesus' garment. And that's exactly what I did.
Mm.
I just pressed my way. It's not easy because we become comfortable with our dysfunctions.
Mm-hmm.
We become real comfortable with it. And we feel like, well, I'm the way I am because it is.
Right.
And I do this because it is, but that is no longer an excuse. You have to live for you. It's not your fault that somebody mishandled. Really, they mishandled God because that's your father.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your fault. And so we blame ourselves a lot. We really do.
Mm-hmm. All the time. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you because you have such strength about you. And to know that you said that you
Yeah.
studied the woman with the issue of blood, and that is what catapult you to start the change, and that you surrendered
Yes.
just puts me in the mind frame of whatever your grandmother told you, whatever God told you, when you thought that there wasn't nobody around you because you felt everybody failed you and you wasn't loved, somebody was loving you. Does that
Yes.
make sense? Does
Yes.
that make sense? Because the strength came from somewhere, right?
Right.
God, grandma, you, somebody, right?
Right.
Even though you wasn't listening or you couldn't hear, whatever she was giving you at the time, it started subconsciously you started to remember. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Something was happening. Something was happening. And I just think your strength is so amazing because there are a lot of women out here, Miss Wells, who don't know how to get out.
Right.
You got out by reading something else, and that's why you're author today,
Right.
right? That's why you can sit and you can give the advice to women. And this is what I want to say to you. What is it for those women who are going through something similar? Doesn't have to be the same, but something similar in that situation where they feel like they are stuck. Give them some advice for me. What is it that you would say to that woman who had that traumatic experience, who don't know how to pull themselves out like you did?
Right. I definitely would say fasting and praying.
Mm,
It's really no we are like to call our friends for advice and say, "Hey, I need how can I do this? How can I do that?" And anytime somebody call me and ask me for advice, I ask them to fast and pray because my answer might be different from what God actually wants you to do.
mm-hmm.
Um God will talk to you. He'll send you a message. I always fast whenever I need clarity
Me
and
too.
whenever I need help.
Me too.
Um,
Me
you
too.
really have to supplicate with God. You
Mhm.
have to converse with Him because that's gonna be your answer on how you get out.
Right.
That's really gonna be your answer on how you get out. It's not gonna be easy, but when you acknowledge, the first step is acknowledging that you have an issue and not blaming everybody for it. Because guess
Hmm.
what? We be mad at people and they living their best life.
All day
And
long
we
and
be wanting
sleeping
them to
well, girl.
apologize to us and
Sleeping
they
well.
okay. We want
Sleeping
them to
well.
apologize to us and they're never gonna do it.
Yep.
And you sometimes have to forgive people who don't tell you that they are sorry.
Correct.
You have to, because they're living inside of you rent free. And that's one thing I decided. I said I'm not gonna let I'm ripping up permission slips. I'm not giving
Mm.
nobody permission to live inside of me for free. I'm not. And one thing
Can we Facebook that, tweet that? I'm ripping up
yes,
permission slips.
rip
Can
up
we
those
do that,
permission
y'all?
slips.
Ripping up permission slips. Okay.
Rip them up, rip them up. And one thing I've learned that because I love to read the Bible, y'all. Y'all got to read the Bible. It's good. I know y'all don't feel like reading it, but you could do it on your phone. And what I love is the other day I was complaining, and sometimes even though you feel like you gave up those things, something will always come back and trigger it off. And if
Mm-hmm.
something can come back and trigger it off, you ain't totally healed from that thing. And I was like, God, I'm just tired of fighting this and I'm tired of fighting that. And he actually made me go read about David and Goliath. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, God, I know that story already. And he said, David asked, what do he get for killing Goliath? What do I get for killing him? And once they told him what he got, he took his slingshot out and he knocked him out. And
Right.
so that's what I want to encourage you by saying, when you go to fight a giant, when you have a giant of an issue in front of you, once you conquer that, God has something for you.
Mm.
You see, you don't fight for free. I posted that on Facebook the other day. No more fighting for free. Because if I have to go through something or overcome something, I know when I get to the other side, God got something better for me.
Yes, he do.
And so you have to stay in a position of, I'm going to win this thing. My
Mm-hmm.
God is bigger than Goliath. I'm going to win this thing. God gave me something in my hands that I could use to overcome this thing. So I'm going to win so I could get to the other side to get my prize. I ain't fighting nothing for free.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So we'll stay stuck. We'll let our issues intimidate us. If David would have let Goliath intimidate him, everybody would have been dead.
Come on.
So you cannot let your circumstances override the victory that you have in Jesus. You can't.
Mm-hmm. So, how did you write the book? Like, where did that come from? What made you decide, you know what, I need to put this all in writing? Like, you was just sitting down one day and then you just started writing. How did that come about?
Well, what happened was I've always been a writer since I was a child.
There
Actually,
we go. See, I knew it had to be
yes,
something.
since a little
I
girl,
knew
I
it had
always,
to be
yes,
something. I'm telling you, everybody is born with a gift. Ladies,
yes,
I know you guys are on, and I'm just stressing this because your story is what I want women to see.
right,
When you in it, when you are in the storm and you are trying to fight your way through, or you don't know your way through, or you don't know how to get out, and the way you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, and you think people are not
right,
there for you, God is still putting in those things in you that you were born with, because those are the things that you were born with. You were either here to
right,
teach, preach, give, serve, whatever it is, and it's always going to show up. Always. It is always going to show up no matter what you go through. And it is not until you get to a point where you surrender and you say, you know what? I gotta let this go, and I gotta let God use me
yes,
for whatever it that is the whatever it is that He wants me to be, and how He wants me to live the rest of my life, because the way that I'm living now is not working for me.
that's it,
You know what I'm saying? It's not working for me. So I'm going to try this way and see how it works out. But
right,
what I want you ladies also to understand is that the reason why we talk about self-love so much, and self-esteem, and really really finding out how to self-heal, is because, and you, Miss Wells, you can attest to it, it never goes away. It never goes away. What you learn is how to manage it, right? What you learn is how to manage it. The When you get those triggers and things come up, if you gotta cry, you cry. You give
that's it,
yourself time, you wipe it off, and you keep it moving. Because when you get to that point, it is not about you. It is not about you. This lady wrote a book for you. God already
yes,
had that book in her ever since she was 3 years old. All of the stuff that she went through, it was already there. It was already there. And even though the situation we believe was hard, messed up, and nobody was there for you, you came out on the other side. You
that's
know what
it,
I'm saying? What I see when I look at you, I see a conqueror. You
mm,
understand? No, I mean it. I mean it. I see a conqueror. And the way that you speak, and for you to write a book where most professional people can't even sit down and pay attention for 5 minutes, right?
that's true,
Has sat down and wrote a book and have done what God has told her to do. There's nowhere to go but up, right?
that's it.
There is nowhere to go but up. So you've been a writer ever since you were young,
Ever since I was young, yes,
and you decided that you was going to sit down and write this book.
yes.
You did. So continue to tell us the story. I'm all excited. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
uh,
In elementary, my best friend Cliff, he draws, and I wrote this fictional story, and I used the people that I go to school with. I used their names in the book, and of course, we got in trouble for it because it was a little too much. And because I went through certain things, it was kind of explicit.
mhm.
And so, I've always been a writer. I love English. Um, I was going to Northwestern and majoring in political science because I'm a debater, and I love to write. And I was doing journalism as a minor, but my grandmother had got cancer, so I just decided to not do college and come home and take care of her.
Mhm.
But um, every conference I went to, I started writing this book when I was 18, and I was start and stop.
Yeah.
And I guess now is just the best time for it
Mhm.
because every conference I would go to, if there was a prophet in a building, they would say, God says, write the book. I wouldn't get no other word, but write the book, write the book, write the book. And so, just so happened last year, um, God began to chastise me about being so accessible.
Mm.
Because I'm a stay at home mom. My friends call me all day, every day, all day, sitting on the phone all day. And so what God did was, he told me, I want you to shut it down because you need to write. So I
Mm.
kind of let all my friends know that I love them, and but I gotta go in the cave, and I won't be able to talk to y'all all day like, like y'all will want me to, because I'm like their counselor. I make them laugh and everything. So of course my friends love me, but some friends wasn't okay with me telling them that I was going, into this lockdown mode, and some of them understood. So
Yeah.
you're gonna lose some people whenever you start focusing
On
totally on
yourself.
yourself, because
Absolutely.
they won't understand. It's not that they are bad people or that they hating on you or whatever. Sometimes they just don't understand what God is showing you. Everything that God shows you is not for everybody.
Well, I tell
So
people we're selfish people. Everybody's selfish. We're selfish. I'm
yeah,
selfish. You're selfish. I want my needs met.
right,
And part of my needs is telling you my issues.
right.
And when you don't do that, it makes me upset. And
That's
that's
it.
just what it does. But like you said, it's like I gotta love me first. I gotta shut it down. I
That's
gotta
it.
I
I
got
had to
I
shut
got
it down.
people, I got people to save. I gotta still hope in people. And that's more important. When I get finished with this, you could read my book all day long. You give you all the counseling
That's
you need.
it.
You know what
That's
I'm
it. As
saying?
soon as you finish the book, I'm gonna
It'll
be
give
back, girl. But
right. It'll give you all the counseling you need to go ahead and get yourself together.
that's true.
So
But
how long did it take you to write it?
it actually took me 2 months to write this book,
Wow.
and I even would tune my children out, and because I had a set time that I would write. I had to put myself on a schedule.
Okay.
And but before I write, I prayed because I wanted God to give me the right words to say. Um, I wanted to put things. The book is actually written in seasons.
Mm,
It's called Dried Up Leaves.
mm-hmm.
And the reason I named it that was because we had this big magnolia tree in our backyard, and
Mm-hmm.
every time that he would violate me, I would go sit outside and crumble the leaves because he started violating me in the fall time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would take the leaves and crumble them. And in my mind, I've always been creative, and I always been different. So I actually wanted to be those leaves. I just wanted to crumble up and let the wind take me away.
Mm.
That's how depressed I was. And so the book is written in seasons because we have to know that's how God operates. He
Yep.
operates through seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely say this was my season to speak,
Yeah.
because we have this thing that what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Say it again, girl.
Yes, in the black community. And I think it's because we don't never like to look bad. We
Mm.
already had to go through so much with other races, and we feel like if you speak out and say something bad about us, then you giving other races the upper hand. But
Mhm.
that's not true. There's monsters in every race.
Come on, girl.
And so of course when I wrote the book, I got a lot of my family wasn't okay with it.
Of course not.
No, they were not. But my obedience means more to me than people being mad at me.
Your healing
Um,
means your healing
yes,
is everything.
yes,
No.
because this really wasn't about me. I
Mm.
really, I really know. I even say in the book that my story is not unique at all. But
No.
I just wanted women to know that you're not alone in the stuff that you went through. Don't be ashamed of it, because your story is gonna help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You
All the
know,
time.
and I've been getting so many testimonies in my inbox from people telling me that, wow, I went through this and I went through the same thing, and you just helped me heal, and I cried and I this and that. And that was the purpose of the book, was to set a revival on the inside of people who were dying on the inside.
Hmm.
I wanted to wake them up and shake them up and let them know that they're not by themselves. And God sees all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He
Absolutely.
see it like you're not by yourself, and you should be thankful that God kept your mind. They have people I know today on drugs just because they were molested.
And that was my other question. Have you, I know you say you were promiscuous, but you never
Mhm.
went to drugs or
I
anything like
never
that.
went to
See?
drugs. I
Nope.
even never even smoked because the fear of seeing my mom the
Yep.
way she was, I would
Yep.
never. But because I didn't love myself, I didn't care who, you know, and then I thought that was cute. I
Right.
didn't care who it was, and I
Hmm.
was a teenager. And so I think now with this generation, which I love your project that you're doing,
Thank
I
you.
think now in this generation we're taking that more seriously. Um, I see so many groups and organizations that's trying to get women to love themselves and love one another and know that it's not a competition, that we all running our own separate race. And I'm just so thankful for your project because women do need to love themselves again, because when you love yourself you realize your worth.
Come on. Say that loud. You realize your worth. And that
Yes.
and that was the point. That was the whole point, Miss Wells, of this project, because the what I saw is the stuff in my life that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to get out of my own way, right?
That's it.
And you start to see like how many other women are stuck with something that happened when they were 3, when they were 10, and you a grown up person now. You are
That's it.
grown, but inside you still that 10-year old, that 15-year old, that 7-year old, and it sticks with you. And subconsciously, you always wondering why you
That's it.
cannot make it to the next level of where you know you can go, and you don't know what's keeping you there. And then you start to realize as you go along, oh, I got mommy issues.
Hmm.
I got daddy issues. I got relationship issues. I got all kind of stuff. And if you don't know how to manage that, if you don't know how to heal that, if you don't know how to start to take steps to manage that, you will stay right where you are, But you did go to counseling, right?
I did.
Okay, good.
Which was it was good.
Mm-hmm.
But when you mix God with a little counseling, that's good. I think that too with the black community, y'all don't want to go see therapists and counselors because y'all don't want to feel like y'all crazy. But but going to see a counselor is okay because you get to actually talk to somebody that don't know you,
Correct.
so they can't be biased in their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
see,
so, how are you managing everything now? You got the book, you got
right?
the kids, and everything. How do you manage it when you get those triggers? Like, what stuff do you do with your kids? Like, are you nervous? Do you have trust issues? Like, how are you managing your healing?
Yes. I literally gave everything to God because let me tell you something. When you don't, it's just like the enemy knows that you didn't give it up because he'll
Mm-hmm.
send people to test you.
Mm.
He'll send people. I remember I was playing in the park with my kids and I seen this older man running on the track, but I was just playing with my kids in the park. And so I packed them all up. I said, y'all, it's time to go. And we were getting in the car and he jogged over to us. And he asked me for my number and I was like, no, I'm not interested. And he literally leaned over and kissed me on my mouth. And I was so angry. He laughed and ran. He like laughed and ran back on the track that he did that. Never don't know that man. Never seen him a day in my life. But that was God showing me that I still had that stuff in me
Mm.
because yeah, the the enemy was trying to get me to feel like I never made no progress.
Okay.
And I feel like it's a aura we give that you a victim. Because when you carry yourself like a victim, people gonna try to violate you.
Mm.
And so I had plenty of little tests of people trying, to without my consent. Because a lot of women, I went to a mental health, I spoke at a mental health conference recently, and
Mm.
they were telling me how many times they were raped by different people.
Mm.
That it kept happening over and over and over with an uncle, with a cousin, with a stranger. Like they were getting raped over and over by different people. And that's because we carry ourselves, we carry that weight on us. What's her name? Erica Badu have a song called Bag Lady.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do. We have all these bags on us and we think that people don't see it. And they do. A predator gonna always know it's prey.
Woo.
He will. And so what I had to do was I said, God, whatever I'm harboring inside of me, whatever I'm holding on to, please take it. Because we don't be realizing that we walking around and they could smell it. They smell it a mile away.
Mm.
And so I said, God, take it away.
Mm.
Take it away, take it away, take it away. I don't want it, whatever it is. I went into, I fast, I prayed, I worshiped, I did all of that. I said, God, take it away. I don't want nobody feeling like they can do that to me.
Right.
And so that's what happens when stuff happen like that over and over and over and over. It's because you're living in that. You're in that mess and they can see it.
And you need to get the healing, like
Yes, you have
like
to
I tell
heal.
you ladies all the time. And that's why we decided to do more. We started to do workshops. We do the quotes, we do all that, but you need to come to learn how to manage the you need to learn how to manage your healing. You need to know how to
Mhm.
self heal, because uh when you are out there by yourself, you have to know how to handle yourself better. Like you said, a predator will always know they prey. But if you
Mhm.
know who you are and you on your journey of self-love, they can't come near you,
No,
because you won't even tolerate that, you know. But
no.
again, I know, man, Miss Wells, I commend you for everything. I
Thank
wish
you.
you so much success. Let us know where we could get your book. Please, everybody, support her and go get a copy of her book. I believe it's on Amazon, correct?
It is. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And let me see if I could go to Amazon now to go ahead and get the link for everyone so I can post it in the group. I got my copy coming, you know. It should be here on Friday. So I want everybody to support her, please, because I believe that this lady has a fantastic testimony. There is the link for her book on Amazon. As you can see, she has been through a lot of stuff, but the powerful thing that I want everyone to take away from this, guys, is that she did her work. She
Yes.
did her work and she did not allow her situation to keep her stuck where she was, right?
No.
Even though she went through everything that she went through that I couldn't even imagine myself going through, she still persevered. She came out. You have a family, you have wonderful kids. You
Yes.
decided to live the way that you want to live. You always had the creative ability in you. You wrote a book, you being of service. And that is the point. That's why you're here. That's why you're still alive,
That's
right?
it.
Is to reach back and teach. Is to reach back and teach. And I thank you. And I really hope that you're able to join us in October. at our first live workshop, because this is the stuff that we're going to talk about. And the biggest thing that we're going to do is we're going to get those tools to start to self heal, because we don't
Wow.
want to stay stuck in the story, right? Because
No,
that's not what we're doing. We don't want to stay stuck in the story, because the story is only a small bit
that's
of
it.
where we going, because what we focusing on is that growth. You know what I'm saying? What we focusing on is that growth, and your story is just a testimony about how you went from one place to where you are now. And so
That's
I
right.
just say keep going, and keep speaking out, and keep letting everybody know, because that's the way you continue to do your work and to manage your healing. Because if you notice, the more you talk and the more you get those testimonials, the more it makes you stay in God's face to continue to heal, because now it's not about you anymore. You know, now it's not about you anymore. So I thank you for being here. And I just hope
You.
everybody got something out of this. I know I did. I really,
Yes.
really did. And we're going to do this again. Okay.
Yes, I would love to.
Yes, we're going to do this again. So, guys, please get the book. We'll be giving out registration October the 13th. Her book is Dried Up Leaves. I put the link out there for you in Amazon. Go take a look at it. Go purchase the book. When we have registration out on Sunday, see if you can make it. I don't care where you at, where you from. See if you can make it to Atlanta to come sit with us and start the healing process. Because
Yes.
as you seen today, in just in this small conversation that we had, everything that this young lady has went through. And how old are you?
I'm 29.
She's 29 years old. And everybody that is in my age group or older, how much life does she have left to live to make an impact? Everything that she went through, she's 29 years old. At 29 years old, I was married and wasn't even thinking about none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
29 years old, you're an author, you are inspiring people, and you're actually changing lives with the stuff that you're doing. You know, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and continue to keep doing what you're doing. Guys, I'll see you later. I thank you guys for sticking with us with all the technical difficulties and everything that we had, but we wasn't going to let anything stop us from having this interview. And Miss
Yes.
Wells and everybody, I will see you guys soon. Okay? See
Bye
ya.
bye.
Bye.